Welcome to the Charley Cardboard Bi Plane build. Let's get started.
Don't forget to check out the Getting Started page included in your instructions. If you have printed your plans on 8.5 by 11 paper, you may have a few pieces that overlap onto a second page. You'll need to do what we call tiling. Just match up the targets as we show you here. It's pretty simple, and then cut out your piece.
First, lay out all of the pieces and mark them with the letter. Remember, the letters are on the schematics. The cardboard pieces with an arrow on them indicate the direction of the grain of the cardboard. Find piece A. Notice how we fold the cardboard along the corrugation lines. Tuck the one side of piece A that is marked with the arrow under the other side. We're not going to glue it yet. Now identify piece B. Take piece B and insert it into A as shown. Roll the rest of A snugly around B. Be sure to make a mark with pencil on piece A where it overlaps onto itself. This will show you where to apply glue later on. On the very back of piece A, line up the sides as shown. Remember the line we made? We're going to put glue along this line as shown. By the way, don't forget, if you're using a glue gun, this glue is hot. Now you're going to reinsert piece B and seal it in place with plenty of glue. The next step is to hold until dry. H-U-D. Now you're going to insert your fingers into the cockpit and push on piece B until it rests about 1/2 inch from the very front of the body of the plane, which is piece A. Glue heavily along the edges of B all the way around. Identify piece C. Now take it and roll it in the same method you used on piece A, along the lines of the corrugation. Make sure you roll it really snugly so it'll keep its shape. Hold up piece A with the seam on top. We're going to apply about 1 inch or 2 of glue along the front of piece A, as shown. We're going to attach one end of piece C to the glue at the end of piece A. Hold until dry. Piece C is a decorative ring that goes all the way around the front of A. Notice how we put glue along the edges over the entire area of piece C. Wrap it around and hold until dry. It may overlap a little bit, but that's no problem. Just cut it off to your liking, or you can leave it. Let's identify the piece with the letter D. Now we're going to take a minute to show you kind of where it's going to go. It's pretty obvious where you're going to apply the glue, but we're going to show you anyway. It's important to note that you're going to apply the glue along the edges of both piece A and piece C. You can even set it nose down. Walk away and go get a snack. Now we're going to identify E. Notice how it looks kind of like a kite? Notice that we're not actually folding the cardboard like we did with piece A, but we're actually squeezing our fingers tightly and smashing the cardboard to make it easier to bend. There is a difference in the cardboard when you fold it as opposed to smashing it like we just described. You can kind of see the difference here. We're going to set piece E aside for later. We're going to take the bottom of the plane and have it face up. You see where the seam ends, the end of piece A? All you're going to do is bend it inside the airplane. Now we're going to insert piece E. It will end up to be on either side of the piece that we just bent down. Now, just glue E into place. Don't be afraid to use lots of glue.
After the glue is dried, we're going to put some more glue on and really seal up the end of this seam. Fold and then hold the end of A and hold in place until the glue dries so things stay nice and tight.
Just like this.
Add the glue where it's needed, and then you're going to hold until dry.
Identify piece F, and now just fold it right along the mark as shown. Now we're going to glue it to the back of the plane just as we're showing you right here. We are showing you where piece F should rest when you affix it to piece A. You might even want to make a mark with a pencil. Use the mark as a guide to where you should put the glue, and then put F into place. Now it's time to hold until dry. You can even use a clamp or a clothespin to hold it in place, especially if you're using hot glue. Now let's find two pieces that are marked G. These will affix to F on either side of the airplane. Hold the tip in your hand and put glue on the other edge and affix to the airplane. HUD. Now repeat on the other side. It's not super important where you place the first side, but the second side needs to match. Now we're going to identify piece H. This happens to be the bottom wing, the airplane. To find the center of that wing, just measure the length of it and divide by 2 and mark where the center is.
Put plenty of glue, kind of in a squiggly pattern, all the way down that center line on the bottom wing of the airplane. Identify the bottom of the airplane's body and just put it right on that squiggly line. If you want to, you can reach inside the cockpit and hold until dry. Feel free to put extra glue right along the edge of your seam where the bottom of the airplane touches the wing, and just do it on both sides of the body of the airplane. Identify both pieces I. You're going to fold them in half lengthwise as shown. both of these pieces are going to end up as supports that you're going to put right in front of the cockpit, and that'll hold the top wing up. By the way, if you want to substitute a inexpensive dowel rod instead of just cutting these pieces out, just make sure that the dowel rod that you cut is the same length as these pieces. You're going to cut a hole right where we pointed, either with an X-Acto knife or a scissors or a dowel rod, even a pencil could work. Don't make these holes too big because you want piece I to fit in snugly, or the dowel rod that you substitute with, whichever. Notice that that support beam goes all the way through the hole and down to the floor of the cockpit. Obviously, you'll repeat on the other side. Now you're going to identify all four of the J pieces, and you're going to fold them in half just like you did with piece I. Again, remember, you can replace these pieces with a dowel rod. By the way, these four pieces are actually going to be the supports between the bottom wing and the top wing of the airplane. Whatever tool you decided to use to cut the holes for the pieces that went into the body of the plane, you're going to use the same thing to cut holes where we're showing you on all four corners of that bottom wing. Once you've started the holes, you can use a pencil or a dowel rod to make them a little bit bigger. You'll notice that we're taking a scissors and just kind of cutting out a little notch at the end of J. And you'll see that that piece goes through the airplane, but then it stops it just in the right place. Make sure that all four notches on all four of piece J are about the same length. This is what it looks like when you have all four pieces put in place on the bottom wing. Now all you're going to do is turn the plane over, and you're going to dab glue on all four of those corners. Again, make sure you just take some time to wait until dry. And as a matter of fact, you can do this next step while the glue is drying. This piece K is actually the seat for your airplane. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold as indicated on the plans. You'll see where the lines are, and just fold them along those lines. You can see how we're testing where the seat will actually sit inside the cockpit. And then after that, you're going to take some glue and glue that seat right down to the bottom of the inside of the cockpit. Notice how we're inserting it very carefully so that we don't get glue on the sides of the cockpit. Now you'll notice this plane is sitting upright, and we're even testing the top wing to make sure it's all those struts and all those supports are nice and even. You'll notice how the supports that come out of the cockpit of the plane are a little longer than the other supports, and what we're going to do is take our thumb and bend those kind of flat until they're at the right height. This will also give you a good platform or good surface on which to glue the top wing. Before putting glue on, make sure that each one of the supports are even, going all the way across. Now all you're going to do is take glue and affix it to the I pieces, and then also the J pieces as we're showing you here, and make sure that they are in the right place, and then just put that wing on top of it and hold until dry. Notice how we're taking advantage of amazing technology called clothespins to hold things until they are dry. This is piece M, which is actually the wheelbase. Notice how the grain and the holes that you're going to have to cut for the axle. You'll also notice that we've scored just the very, very top layer of the corrugated cardboard there to make it easier to bend. Now we're going to turn the airplane over, and we're going to find exactly where piece M goes and mark it with a pencil. Try to center it best you can, and then affix glue between the two pencil marks. You know, use a cross technique or whatever, but you need a lot of glue here, because this is going to be the piece that you put on that's going to actually have an axle in it and hold the wheels that will hold up the whole airplane. You're going to identify all 4 wheel pieces. 2 are going to go on either side. Now also notice that the dowel rod we're using is actually one of those shish kebab skewers. You can buy a package of over 100 of them for just really inexpensively. Once you place the dowel rod and put the wheels on both sides, then you can figure out what length you want the dowel rod to be and just cut it off. You can use a little snips, or you can use a wire cutter, or you can actually use your X-Acto knife or even a scissors. Once your dowel rod is cut to the length that you want it, then all you've got to do is slide it back in the wheel support and put the wheels on either side, just as we're showing you right here. Now there's one more thing you're going to do with the dowel rod, and that is to find the correct length at the end of the plane and go back in, and you're going to cut a hole dead center right there in the nose of the plane, and we're going to put that dowel rod through there, because that dowel rod is the thing that you're going to use to actually put your propeller on. Once you figure out how long you want it to be, just snip it off and then insert it right there in the front of the plane, and then we're going to glue it in place. See how we're making sure that the propeller can go on and it looks the way we want it to do before we start to glue. You can see the hole in the front of the plane and see how much glue we've put on there, and then just kind of put it right there in the hole and just spin a little while. You see how the glue will spread, and just let it sit there till it's dry. Notice how we're kind of turning the propeller to get into place there. We're doing that because the hole is so small. We want to kind of twist it on there, and that will allow it to stay on snugly. Well, congratulations. It looks like you made a beautiful airplane. Now, time to take to the skies, or turn around and make another one and invite your friend over.